So this week there are eight, yes, eight major aspects hitting between now and next Sunday, including one that kicks off an emotional cycle that you'll be living out for the next 12 years. So if you've felt the pressure rising, if there are tons of decisions in your experience, or there's something deep that is shifting, just know that you're right on time because starting Monday, Jupiter moves into Cancer. A new 12-year chapter begins tied to your emotional patterns, to your family dynamics, to your sense of home, and whether or not you're building something that holds you and takes care of you in a security way. Or maybe something that keeps you stuck in a rut. Welcome to the Horoscope Vault, a podcast that explores the world through the lens of astrology, with a view to supporting you through the ups and downs of life, here for you throughout each chapter, and helping you make your most confident decisions yet. I'm Charlie, an associate member of the American Federation of Astrologers and astrology reader for radio's The Bob and Sherry Show. This isn't a light week of casual astrology, it's a decision point. In this episode, I'm narrowing it all down to what matters the most, the three major squares that require clarity, the hidden gift in the middle of the week, and how this Cancer Jupiter shift rewrites a story that's been unfolding since 2013. Let's get into it. This is a busy week. It's such a busy week. There are so many aspects, and sometimes, most times, the week ahead forecast looks at maybe three, maybe five big aspects. But this week there are eight significant, pinpointed, and punctuated moments this week that really stand out. So, in a bid to keep this clear and concise and not several hours long, this episode will focus on the most pressing of these aspects, and a more in depth option will be available for the Horoscope Vault Extra subscribers. There are a lot of decisions to be made this week, no joke. With so many aspects happening, this is the kind of week that benefits from an extra level of preparation, and so here it is. Starting Monday, 9th of June, Jupiter officially moves into Cancer, leaving Gemini, where it's been stirring up scattered momentum. It's been creating mental anxiety that doesn't really have a specific origin. It's a little bit of everything. Jupiter in Gemini has been worsening short attention spans and anxiety and panic attacks, and it has been offering you rapid fire ideas. Just think of how many solution and remedy based ideas that you've processed through that you've had in the last year of what to do or how to fix something. You might even have notes littered everywhere filled with these ideas. Jupiter in Gemini also really did a number on the media. And now, if you second guess and double check everything you see, read, or hear, I'd say that you've come out of the Jupiter in Gemini detriment phase with a very valuable skill that will never fail you. The luck and blessing that comes from seeking the alternative perspective or the alternative opinion on anything you are considering. So, since May of 2024, Jupiter in Gemini has represented a phase of life that's been just a little bit more uncomfortable than usual. But Monday, 9th of June is perfect. Jupiter moves into Cancer on a Monday, which is a moon ruled day. It's very auspicious. This shift marks the start of a new 12-year cycle, rooted in emotional maturity, home, family, and belonging. It's a big transition on a personal and worldly level. It's tied to real estate shifts, national identity, and the chance to finally release family roles that you never even signed up for. With the family part of this ingress being imperative to understand because Jupiter expansiveness expands anything and everything in that field with no consideration whether it's in a good or bad condition to start with. So, staying tied into unhealthy family patterns means that this year they'll get bigger and bigger and faster in their presentation, and you'll have more of whatever it is you choose to stay within. So, it's important to honestly, humbly accept the reality and decide if you want more of that. Because that's the dish being served. And this moment mirrors major emotional turning points from 2013 to 2014, where it helps for you to look back to that 2013 timeframe and find the similarities from then to now. How you respond this time around sets the tone for the next decade or so of your life. But instead of unpacking all of that here, I've put together already a full episode dedicated solely to Jupiter in Cancer, including how it kind of shows up for each sign and how to make the most of this growth window. So if you haven't already, go listen to that one next after this episode. It is linked in the show notes below. Now, the rest of this week's astrology. On the same Monday as this big 12-year cycle reset where Jupiter moves into Cancer, bringing up all the family, home, living space, and personal security themes, Monday really is the busiest day of this week. And if you already have a busy Monday, if you know that tomorrow is jam-packed, think about it with an excited mindset, because the exalted fresh start is something worth going extra hard for. It's something worth sticking your neck out for. It's really worth going above and beyond. So Monday, Jupiter's shift plus Mercury in Cancer square Saturn in Aries, plus Venus in Taurus square Pluto in Aquarius, plus Mercury in Cancer square Neptune in Aries means that it is decision time. And you may even already be semi-aware of the types of decisions you need to make, or the multiple decisions that are awaiting you to cast your final judgment on. It's like between Wednesday of this past week and now here on Sunday, there are some new, sudden influx of chances or opportunities that have maybe even unexpectedly shown up. And it's possible that not all of these can coexist. It's possible that you cannot say yes to them all. So some kind of plan or decision needs to be made. And let's look at those decisions as the peak of this aspect, with a week opening with these trio of squares. There are 3 pending decisions. The first square, Mercury in Cancer squares Saturn in Aries, asks, do you speak from emotion or do you hold the line with restraint? It's the decision between softness and structure, emotional connection versus hard-earned independence. You may be facing a decision between speaking from emotion versus speaking from duty or speaking from restraint. Protecting your feelings versus pushing through to get something done. This is vulnerability versus authority, and the square brings tension between emotionally driven communication and hard, self-reliant duty. So you might feel like withholding your thoughts to avoid conflict, or like maybe you're not being taken seriously, and the decision is whether to retreat for emotional safety or speak up despite the discomfort, then possibly facing authority or consequences of speaking up. So what could these decisions be? It might be between staying in a familiar living situation that is safe security-wise and maybe not so much emotionally, or moving out to regain your independence. And this might be that comfort is pulling you to stay where you are, but freedom and growth requires that next bold step. It might be the decision to speak up about a boundary violation that happened at home, or to keep the peace just to avoid the fight that may come of that. Saying nothing, of course, is going to maintain the calm, but is it at the cost of your own emotional well-being? It might be the decision to take care of someone else or protect your own time and boundaries. It might be the decision between sending a really emotionally honest message or waiting to present it a little bit more composed and strategic. The truth is at the brim and it's ready to pour out, but the this versus that, where this is staying in comfort and that is moving into your truth, your concern might be whether or not this will land the way you want it to. And so look deeply about what it is you're preserving here and if it's even worth preserving. The next square is Venus square Pluto. The challenge is, do you stay in comfort or do you break the pattern that no longer serves you? It's a decision between staying safe in a comfort zone versus risking transformation for the benefit of freedom. It's the current stability, however that stability looks, versus control and power plays that you might be trying to escape or win. And it might be right for you to win them too. It could be the decision between choosing peace versus the urge to confront something deeper and a little bit shady. And this aspect just presses on value systems and relationships. Venus in Taurus wants predictability and ease. Pluto in Aquarius wants to upend outdated norms and break attachments. And the decision here is whether to cling to what's familiar and comfortable or to dig deep and face the discomfort and transform a dynamic or put an end to it entirely. So, do you stick with the relationship, the job, the lifestyle that gives you some kind of security, materially maybe? Or do you risk unsettling it all to pursue deeper alignment with your values? Yes, safety is very, very soothing, but your soul might be craving revolution. The final decision based square is Mercury square Neptune, and it's a blurry square. It's between what's real and what's projection. And you're choosing between trusting your gut and double checking the facts, between like feeling it out versus grounding the vision. So the decision is emotional intuition versus impulsive idealism. It's clarity versus confusion. It's cautious understanding versus leaping into like a fantasy or an assumption. This square works to completely fog your thinking, especially to do with emotional narratives and personal stories. And there's a choice between pausing to emotionally process and fact check or diving into something slightly blindly. It's not very grounded, but it's much more authentically your truth. And it's a test of discernment whether you can tell the difference between a gut feeling and escapist projection. So, do you trust the emotional gut feeling? Or do you pause to fact check before you act on impulse? You know, something might feel true, but is it actually a real possibility? Do you leap into this emotional decision because it feels right? Or do you give it another day to settle before committing? This test really squares where your instincts are wisdom versus where they are a wish. So heavy, heavy opening to the week, but not scary heavy. It's this heaviness that's full of potential. And then comes Wednesday, the 11th, midweek, hump day, as they say. Mercury in Cancer sextile, Venus in Taurus, and the Sagittarius full moon. Mercury in Cancer sextile Venus in Taurus happens at nearly 5.5 degrees, with the Mercury theme being concern. So it's the strength and the internal pressure to restrain energy for the benefit of others. It's like a withholding when you know someone isn't in the position to take on any more of something, or they're not in the position to understand something. But then in its worst case, it could be the withholding on purpose, like a form of purposeful, intentional expense at a cost to somebody. So take a look around. Who is withholding something? Is it you? Is it them? Is it being done for protection? Is it being done for a power play or manipulation? And the Venus theme meaning is self-sufficiency, which really makes me think of that Jupiter in Cancer episode and the development of self-led security that's coming up. This Venus self-sufficiency is about having and attaining the resources to live self-sufficiently. It's about income in a way. It's about the origin of the resources to support your independent growth. And in a sextile, which is a positive aspect, these two themes of holding back out of concern and self-sufficiency could show as a variety of scenarios. It might be that you finally send a message about something that's been bothering you, and you word it with care and sensitivity, and then the other person responds calmly. And what could have maybe been a point of tension turns into a supportive conversation. You might tell someone that you need more space or more downtime, and you say it in a way that is gentle but clear. And they not only understand, but they respect your boundaries. You might bring up a financial concern or a stress, and instead of the person you bring it up with reacting defensively, they're open and you work out a solution that leaves you both feeling secure. Sometimes it's a concern of whether it's the right time or not the right time to speak up, but midweek, if you do speak up about something that's not working for you at work, in a shared project, in your day-to-day life, at home, if you do it calmly and constructively, the feedback is well received and the change is made without any drama. So if there's some news that you've been hesitant about delivering, a conversation you've been hesitant about having because of fear for how the other side may receive and perceive it, Wednesday might be your day. Wednesday seems to be full of grounded support, and it brings this almost immediate relief or stability. The full moon that peaks at 20 degrees on Wednesday, this degree of Sagittarius is associated with censorship. It's one of my favorite degrees in astrology because it reflects a very simple truth. It's very easy to follow instead of some of the other stuff that takes a lot of deeper thinking. But in its simplest presentation, it's the idea that when something is kept quiet, that thing often goes extremely well. It also speaks to the idea of censorship as a protective force, where silence or forgetting can preserve stability and it can protect your mind and experience. And because this is the moon, it could also protect your feelings from unraveling. And the full moon will have its own episode this week with more in-depth outlooks, so make sure you're subscribed to tune into that on Wednesday. Sunday closes the week with two powerful squares, so two more decisions. This is Mars in Leo square Uranus in Taurus, sparking sudden friction between your desire to act boldly and the reality of what's physically or financially sustainable. You're ready to go. You're ready to do this. You're mentally strong enough and even courageous and confident in yourself to press on. It's just that there might be some tension where drive meets practicality, especially around control issues, creativity, or resources. So this says something like you're ready to launch a project, you're ready to jump into action and make a bold move. And just as you start doing so, a financial or a logistical issue pops up. Something breaks, a payment doesn't arrive, a resource that you thought you could rely on is just suddenly unavailable. This Leo Mars square Taurus Uranus brings a surge of bold, confident energy, but unexpected blocks, some costs, some practical limits that feel as though they interrupt your momentum because you're ready to act, you're ready to go, but the external world may not move as fast or as freely as you want and need it to. At the same time, Jupiter in Cancer squares Saturn in Aries, highlighting the growth pains between emotional growth and self-discipline. You may crave comfort or expansion, but the success of this long-term progress requires structure, not shortcuts. You feel the urge to care, expand, create something meaningful, but reality demands restraint and focus be put seriously into this. Something could feel emotionally right, but it's not yet logistically aligned. And the square is here really saying that discipline is required for personal freedom within this. That's the Saturn in Aries. Or else the other side of this would be emotional overextension. It would be burnout. It's stalled growth masked as comfort that comes if you do not commit. And without structure, without looking at the step-by-step necessities of this particular commitment, the desire to grow could just loop back into these old patterns that feel safe, but ultimately keep you small. And this aspect has been coming back on repeat since August 2024, then again December 2024, and now it finalizes this coming weekend in June. The patterns of those time frames, August 19th, December 24th, and now June 15th, how are they showing up for you? Can you see any similar themes between these? And if so, note it down because this will be prominent for this next year of your growth, and it will be positive if you can maintain the commitment. Next year, when Jupiter enters Leo, and if you've done the work, if you've kept your head down, then the results start to show. So yeah, that's this week. It's packed with 8 standout aspects, creating high-stakes, decision-heavy, atmospheric demands. It's clarity and intention. It's Jupiter's shift into Cancer, kicking off a 12-year cycle of growth with some home-based themes, some inherited family patterns, And it's paired with 3 sharp squares that press you for decisions around boundaries, values, and truth. Midweek softens with a slightly supportive Mercury Venus sextile and the Sagittarius full moon, bringing closure as long as you keep things quiet. It emphasizes grounded communication, emotional restraint. It's the power of quiet clarity. And if you take away just one thing from the episode this week, let it be that while you're deciding something, it is so important for you to not tell anyone of your plans. Maybe just a trusted few people at max. And then the week closes with Mars and Jupiter both squaring off. One tests bold action against real world limitations, and then the other challenges you to balance emotional expansion with the most disciplined effort you've ever shown of yourself. Your individual horoscopes will be dropping Monday morning, so make sure you're following the show to find out the deep dive results personalized to you this week. And below is an astrology reading menu for you to explore if you know it's time for you to take things seriously. I'll be back tomorrow with that episode. Until then, bye.